What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm finally in Florida. I'm finally back, and I got a big sack. So let's go. This is going to be the forever model video, and we are going to be talking about correlated assets, their similarities, their differences, what to look for, what to avoid, and yeah. So basically, this is only going to be about NASDAQ and ES. So if you guys are talking about gold and silver, if you're talking about whatever else that's correlated, I don't care. I'm sorry, but I don't care, right? We're going to be talking about NASDAQ and ES because it's like they're like, again, twin sisters. I say this all the time with other references, they're twin sisters. But we're going to be talking about just how we're going to use them, what to avoid, and how we're going to use them to our advantage because surprisingly, a lot of people in the Discord don't seem to use it while they're trading, which is very sad and silly. But we are going to teach you guys how to use it. So we're just gonna go off with what are we looking for, right? So okay, let me make it all pretty and shit. Okay, so we are looking for the volume, the delivery, and the executions on these assets to be the same, right? So what this means is basically if I'm on NASDAQ, if I'm on NASDAQ and I'm watching the market open and we are ripping down, right? And then I click on ES, I expect ES to also be ripping down in the exact same way the NASDAQ is ripping down because they're literally the same exact thing. Like, they are the same thing. So I'm expecting those two things to be related. So if I open NASDAQ and we're ripping down and I open ES and we're ripping up, right? That's probably not a good sign, right? If these two things are supposed to be mirrored and related and we want to be able to use them like together, we need to make sure that these things are having the same volume, the same delivery, and executing the exact same, which means like taking the same draws that we have on both indexes, stuff like that, right? We need to be taking and moving the exact same way so that we can be sure of being correlated, right? Because uncorrelation between the exact same pairs, which is the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, is very, very bad because they are literally the same exact top companies, right? So they should be moving the exact same way. And it is definitely a red flag if they are not, right? So what should we do? Oh my gosh. If the what should we do if they are not moving the same, right? So again, if you guys are trying to take a trade, right, and you have these two things split screen, right? So for me on Top Step, I have my NASDAQ right here and I have my ES right here. I know you guys can't see where I'm putting, but like you guys can get the gist, right? That's where I have them. And if I am trying to enter a position on the NASDAQ and I look to the other side of my screen and ES is doing the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do, I am not going to enter that trade no matter what. Because that's literally trying to predict the coin flip, right? What if ES is telling the truth and NASDAQ isn't? What if NASDAQ is telling the truth and ES isn't, right? These are things that we need to have lined up because if they are correlated and if they are correlated assets and they are moving differently, one of them is right and one of them is wrong, right? Because the other one that's wrong is going to end up correcting itself in the future, right? So if we are dumping down the one that's wrong and the other one that's right is dumping up, if we're trying to enter a short position and it corrects itself, boom, we get stopped out, right? So we need to make sure that they're moving the exact same towards the same draws and liquidity with the same direction, right? And we're going to talk about all sorts of different aspects of different situationals. So, but yeah, these two things need to be moving the same. Okay, so what do we do if one of the indexes isn't or doesn't have the same drawn liquidity as the other one, right? So this happened the other day. I think this was on Thursday, where I was trying to short and the NASDAQ had two draws while ES only had one, right? So while I was trying to short and ES and NASDAQ took the draw at the same time, I was still trying to short to the second draw. But since ES didn't have the second draw, there was no reason to go lower, right? So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like right now, right? So I'm going to get my tool out. I know some of you guys have been asking me to do like actual representations and not the drawings, but I do not have a representation of this, so we're going to be using the drawing, right? So let's say that that is the NASDAQ on the left, and on the right, we have ES. Boom, boom, right? So the NASDAQ, right? Oh, actually, we're gonna use the brush. So the NASDAQ, right? It takes this first draw right here, and then the second draw is right here, right? Because we have two draws on the NASDAQ. Now ES takes the first draw right here, and it only has one draw. So if you guys are having two different draws in liquidity, and maybe one of your pairs only has one of them, you guys cannot expect the second one to get hit, right? Because if we have a liquidity sweep, we're just going to instantly reverse. So in this case, the S&P 500 would be the leader and would be the one that would be telling us the truth, right? Because if the S&P 500 only has one draw in liquidity and nothing more than that, if we hit that draw, the other index is going to have a very, very unlikely and improbable cause or improbable chance of actually hitting the second draw in liquidity. Now, there is a way that we are going to be able to tell if it can hit the second draw, and I'm going to talk about that right now. So, actually, let me keep this up, right? So, actually, we're going to go like this. How can we predict the continuation past the first draw in liquidity if the assets don't have the same, I cannot type, bro, number of draws, right? So, how can we predict the continuation past the first draw in liquidity if the assets do not have the same number of draws, right? So, again, if we are in the exact same spot as we are right now, ES takes a draw, right? NASDAQ also takes the first draw, but there's a second draw that looks really, really good. We are going to wait for the leader, right? The truth teller, basically, to give us confirmation that we still want to go the same direction that we're trying to take the trade towards, right? So in this case, right, we want ES to keep pushing lower, right? We don't want to take a trade targeting, right? Let's say NASDAQ already took this draw, right? Like we have been saying this whole time. We don't want to enter this position until ES has delivered past the lowest point or the highest point, depending bullish or bearish, that it has made, right? And that is very, very important. You need to write that down. Because if we're trying to take a trade on the NASDAQ that ES hasn't even went past its lowest or highest point, why would we do that? There's nothing confirmed that ES or NASDAQ wants to go lower, right? There's nothing confirmed at all. So if we have uncorrelated draws, which means that one of them has two and one of them has one. If we have that, the one that has one needs to displace past the first draw. And that is very, very important. Because if not, you're going to end up cooking yourself over and over and over and over again. And you're never going to figure it out. And finally, you're going to come over to my channel and be like, oh, that's why. That's why. That's why. But yeah, this is literally very, very important. This is how I see a lot of people get cooked, is because they end up trying to take the trade before the leading index goes past the first draw in liquidity. But yeah, you need to have it go past the first one to even think about entering the trade, especially if they're uncorrelated. Now, we're going to delete all this stuff because I did give you guys an example of something that was great. And this is very annoying that I have to sit here and go like this. Okay, stop. Stop looking at me. Stop looking at me. Okay, so what if the what if the draws are not the same? So, what if the draws and liquidity are not the same? This is literally called SMT, right? So, if we have draws that are a little bit different, right? Look, I want you guys to look at the NASDAQ, right? Look right here. I want you to see this structure right here, right? This high made a higher high than this high, right? Now let's go look at ES. Okay, same exact place, but this high is higher than this high, right? Very, very, very weird, right? If we have the exact same draws and liquidity, which would have been this before, and NASDAQ was the leader, which took out this high, shouldn't we be able to take out the same high on ES? No, right? That is called SMT. So basically, what the, oh, I'm tripping. Sorry. Okay. Oh my gosh. If the draws and liquidity are not the same, right? Oops. Are not the same, and you are able to identify, oh no, identify your leader, you need to be aware that it is possible for the leader to sweep liquidity, right, and change direction without the following index being able to take the same draws liquidity, right? So this is basically SMT. If the draws liquidity are not the same, and you are able to identify your leader, you need to be aware that it is possible, right? Because in this case, the NASDAQ did it, that we set out these highs, and then we started going lower. It is possible that your following index does not do that, right? Which would be, in this case, it would be ES, right? ES did not do the exact same thing as NASDAQ, yet it had the same result after all, right? So if we swept out these highs and then started pushing down, ES didn't sweep out these highs, we still pushed down, right? We will still have the exact same results and effects as long as these assets are still continuing to be correlated. And I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm not confusing you with that. But yeah, that is basically everything that I have for correlated assets. And then one more thing, actually. One more thing. Very important. I'm putting this in I don't know where I'm putting this. I'm going to try to make it bold. Can I make this bold? This is very important. I need to make this to like the... Oh, I'm so stupid. Okay, we're just going to leave it like that. I'm going to put stars around this stuff because this, like, I am so tired of seeing you guys not do this. It's very annoying and it gets on my nerves. You need to be looking at both of the indexes, whether you like it or not, while you are trading, right? Again, if you are not looking at both the indexes and you are trying to long on NASDAQ and the ES is completely bearish, you're going to get cooked. And you're not going to wonder why you're not going to figure out why you're losing because you're not looking at the correlated asset. It is necessary to look at the correlated asset. And I need you guys to get it through your head. You guys ask me so many times, do you use ES while trading? If I am trying to take a trade, I will always have ES open. Necessity. I think that you can increase your win rate by 10% if you just have ES open. Because you will stop taking stupid trades, right? You'll realize that, hey, maybe ES has sloppier and choppier delivery and it's not delivering to the actual draw while NASDAQ is, boom, SMT, right? You're going to start picking up on all these things that matter when looking at these correlated assets. And you're going to start realizing, hey, maybe I shouldn't be in this position. Maybe I shouldn't be in this trade. Maybe I shouldn't be thinking about it because the assets are not doing the same thing and we're getting choppy delivery. But yeah, that is basically all that I have. One-on-one, you guys are going to be getting a super sauce video about something pretty similar to this. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments down below. Let me know if you want to be mentored. Let me know on anything. But yeah, I will make another video. I should be making another one right now, and then I'll have a backtesting video out soon. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And what should I end it off with? What's a tough quote? Hey, you want to make a quote? What's the quote?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
Just say anything.
No.
All right, y'all. Never waste your time with somebody.